exciting. Jules is one of my favorite people to work with. She takes this business very, very seriously. You guys are going to learn a lot from her. She's gone through her ups and downs. I've been there for all of it. It's been, something. No, but you're going to learn so much from her. She did this talk in South Florida, and then I kept hearing, I want Jules to tell me what she said, and I want to hear it over and over, so I told her to make a video. But we'll see if she does that. But you guys are going to want to just hear her mind on this and know that she's really got this down pat, and her team is growing so much in Pennsylvania, and we're just so happy about that, and in South Florida. So I'll read this. Jules is a former fitness professional turned CEO mom. That's true. She lives in Boca Raton with her husband Cletus and two sons, Maddox and Cash, 3 and 5 months. When Jules learned about the link between nutrition and disease and became passionate about sharing what she learned with others and started her Juice Plus virtual franchise, she really was so happy. Today, she is an excited senior sales coordinator and loves the verse, "Do not grow weary in doing good, for the proper time will reap a harvest if you do not give up." Galatians 6:9. That's hard for me to read. But they are going to be so blessed to hear from you, and we're going to hand this over to you.
I think I'm ready. This is my clicker. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Well, it is a true honor to be here because I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness. First of all, to get up on the stage after Jay Martin is a hard thing to do. And Renee has blessed our team so much. So when she asked me to come speak here, I thought I would love to because she is such a blessing to us. I just love her. Well, let me just tell you guys, I have to tell you a funny story. So I live in Florida, but I've been in this very room before. It's so weird. 5 years ago, my husband, his buddy who we played college ball with, got married, and we came here for a beautiful wedding. We're waiting for the groom, and he comes barreling down the mountain on a four-wheeler in his suit to Born to Be Wild or Bad to the Bone. And it was hysterical. And now, we didn't know his wife at the time, and now she's a sales coordinator on my team. So I just love that we get to do this business anywhere, that virtual franchise part, and I love that I get to come here again to this beautiful resort. Okay, so let me tell you guys, I'm going to share with you my journey. 7 years ago, I was working as a broke personal trainer. I was wore out. I was teaching 36 fitness classes a week. I was training from sun up to sundown. My hair was falling out. My nails were breaking. I had cystic acne, and I was completely exhausted. I had to take a nap every single day. And I was starting to take its toll on my body, so one of my clients asked me to come to her house to hear about a product. And if anybody is in that fitness health field, yes, are you skeptical about products? I had a bad run-in with hydroxycut. Does anyone remember that? I mean, there's so many scary things out there. So I said yes, but I wasn't planning on going. How many of you have said yes and then didn't go to a presentation? But she saw me that morning and she said, "Jules, I can count on you to be there tonight, right?" And those little words resonated, and I thought, I'm a woman of my word, I gotta go. So I went, and that night changed my life. The information I heard blew me away. I knew nothing about nutrition. I was eating Nutri-Grain bars for breakfast, drinking whey protein shakes for lunch, and eating as much meat as possible for dinner. And so that was just what, in my head as a trainer, we were taught to do, or we thought to do. And so after hearing that information, totally astounded, NSF certification, research behind it, I thought, I've got to share this with other people, and I've got to take it. But there's one problem. I was broke. And so I went to, what any smart woman would do, I went to the head honcho in the room, which at the time was Sharon Farrar. Do you even remember this? At Madeline's house. I said, how can I get this for free, or for a discount? So that night I signed my distributorship, and now, back then, 7 years ago, let me remind you, I was a broke trainer, and I thought I was busy. And then shortly after that, I met this cute guy, and he gave me his credit card to buy Juice Plus, so I knew he was the one. Then we planned a wedding, and I thought I was busy during that season. Shortly after that, 3 months to be exact, I got pregnant with my first Juice Plus baby. And if you guys have ever been pregnant for the first time, and that first year of first, I was obsessed with my son and thought I was busy then. And now I have a 3-year-old and a baby, a whole totally different experience. And I can tell you that I feel like I'm the busiest that I've ever been at this stage. And I know some of you have 3 and 4 and more, so you can feel me. I feel like this is the busiest stage. But as I look back over those 7 years, I realized that I wasn't having a great deal to do. I was keeping occupied. So I was just telling myself I was busy, but I truly wasn't busy. And what I've learned is that busy people may get things done, but mission-driven people get things done with purpose. And we've heard on the stage with passion and with focus. And aren't we in the business of attracting people? Renee said it last night, we attract people into our business. And most people are busy. They do not want another thing on their plate, right? And so I want somebody to look at me and say, I want to be part of a mission. I don't want to do another thing. I don't want to be busy. Well, when I was talking to my team and I was trying to figure out, I did feel very busy. I felt overwhelmed, stressed out. Have any of you guys felt that way before while doing this business? Well, my team was feeling the same way, and most of them are moms. I thought, we got to change something. We can't be running around like chickens with our heads cut off. So I put some things into practice, and I shaped busy into productive. And the numbers don't lie. My bottom line pay line almost doubled. In about the past year, my paycheck has more than doubled. But there's certain things that you can't put a price tag on, like my sanity, and my kids' sanity, and my husband's sanity. And there's been a peace that has transcended my house since doing this. And that second kid kind of forced me to. It started before him, but really when cash came, it forced me to do some of these things. So the first thing was schedule it. And we heard this over and over at conference. If any of you went, your schedule is your boss. And if you have big goals and dreams and hopes and desires in this business, you've got to fill your schedule with IPAs. We call them income producing activities. And we have to distinguish between what's income producing and what's just busy work. So when I went from sales coordinator to senior sales, I was stuck on a plane from Phoenix with Joel Herbst. Does anyone know Julie and Joel Herbst? The most uncomfortable 5 hours of my life. And we formulated a plan for me to get from sales coordinator to senior sales coordinator, because I said I can't go to another conference and leave I had one at the time, leave him at home. I can't do it. I can't be a sales coordinator for another year. I was at that point 5 years as sales coordinator. So we got all done, we're getting ready to get off the plane. He goes, okay, what are you gonna do first? And I said, I've got to organize my desk. And he looked at me super confused, and he shook his head. He goes, I'm pretty sure you've organized your desk enough. We need to start making phone calls. So John Maxwell says, show me your calendar, I'll show you your priorities. Your schedule has to be filled with those IPAs, and you have to live by your calendar. Create lists. I love this. If my husband is here, he would totally vouch for this, but for 5 years, my house looks like the Tasmanian devil ran through Office Depot. Pieces of paper everywhere, Post-it notes everywhere, credit cards on the back of envelopes with no names on them. Didn't even know who they went to. So it was crazy, and my husband, it drove him crazy. He goes, please put this somewhere. And I don't know who it took to get me to do this. It had to come from within, but I realized that I needed a list for everything. How many of you have ever gone to the grocery store without a list? Okay, when you do, how often do you forget something? Almost always. List creates structure and efficiency in your day. And without those lists, you look like that chicken with their head cut off running around, okay? List for the grocery store. List for who you're gonna call that day. List for what you're gonna make for dinner that week. List for everything. And I keep it in the notes section in my phone. Slow down if you went to conference again, and I've heard this over and over, but I finally started to realize it. And Renee, having a talk with her, I keep hearing it. When you hear a theme over and over, it's like, pay attention. Tim Elmore said, you have to slow down to go fast. And I think that a lot of times, if any of you hate yoga, like me, then you probably don't like to slow down. I like to go fast. I like spin. I don't like yoga. And so for me to slow down and reevaluate where I was, or to slow down and learn the mission-driven model, was very hard. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do. But I remember those last 5-7 years, I was doing, but I wasn't going anywhere. So I thought, I need to slow down. And if we don't know the mission-driven model like the back of our hands, you don't know that line 1, I can be on a call with a new team member and not have to look it up and say, okay, that first icon is this, that second icon is, share your story. I don't have to do that. I know it. And we should all know it. That's our system. It's super simple. And I mean, I don't know how many times you get thank you for creating that, because it's just a simple, easy business model, and we should know it. So you might need to slow down to learn it. Control your time. Jim Rohn says either you run the day or the day runs you. When you do schedule your calendar and you have time blocked off for different things, like meeting a friend for coffee, I think those things are important. But as it starts to go on, and say it goes a half an hour, and I could talk to people forever. I like to talk. But sometimes you have to look at your watch and you have to realize, do I have things to do today? Is this going to be good or bad if I go over my scheduled time? And you have to control your day. And I always make up something to do if I don't have anything to do. If I'll say, I have to get on a phone call, and then I go get in my car and I get on the phone because I don't want to be a liar. So I just make sure that you're controlling your time, okay? You're in control. Make a plan and stick to the plan. We work conference to conference. In between those about 6 months, it's a really good idea at the end of each conference to figure out where you are, where you want to be, how to get there. It's probably a better idea to do that with your sponsor. They can help you, and they can really formulate that plan. And one thing I love is that when I've seen miracles happen in this business every day, right? When you make that plan, don't veer off. When you get close to next conference and you're like, I'm not going to hit it, so I might as well just, throw that goal out the window. Don't do that. Keep going towards that goal, because if you do miss it, you're going to be further ahead than if you threw it out the window, okay? Don't ever give up on your goals. And we also like to say trim the fat. If it's not going to help you get to your goal, don't do it. I've said yes to a lot of things that I should have said no to. My pastor says every year you should have more on your to-don't list than your to-do list, okay? Be proactive, not reactive. How many moms in the room are soon-to-be moms? Okay. As moms and dads, I'm sorry, I know there's guys. As moms and dads, we're bred to be reactive, right? Mama, I need a drink. Mama, I got a boo-boo. Mama, wipe my butt. So, because I have a 3-year-old, I can't really control when that happens. In our business, we can. We cannot be reactive. So we have to have a complete mindset change from being reactive to being proactive. And that goes with urgent versus important. We have to figure out, if you can figure out the distractions that are coming in, if they're urgent or important, and you can take care of the important stuff first, and let the urgent stuff go to when you have time for it, you're going to be in a better mindset. So Julie Herbst calls them monkeys. Don't take your customers' monkeys or your team members' monkeys. Let them take care of that themselves, or you deal with it when you have time to deal with it. I get fired up really easily. I know my team knows that. Like sometimes they'll tell me something with a customer and I get so fired up, I get so worked up. I'm a very emotional person. I've had to learn to stop and say, I can't deal with that right now. I have to wait until I can control that. Because if I dealt with it right now, I'd probably tick off a lot of people and I wouldn't deal with it the right way. And the DMO, just do it. Okay, we're going to talk about that later. But I love the DMO. Okay. Minimizing distractions. Studies find that an interruption in your work can lead to an average of 25 minutes to get back to the task at hand. That is a legit study. That is true. Oh. I will find out for you. Yeah, if you just look it up online, it'll come right up. Actually, it's been studied a lot. That's a very statistic. It's a very well-studied statistic. But distractions can be a huge roadblock to your success. So I've learned this too, is that there has to be a way for you to minimize the distractions in your day. The first thing, and we've heard this over and over, set the tone of your day. Whether that's quiet time, prayer, devotional, gratitude. This is something I struggle with every single day. I wake up to a crying baby, and to a 3-year-old who demands his oatmeal here, his shake here, and his lemon water here. And I guess we created that. I don't know. He is very, very demanding at 6 o'clock in the morning. So sometimes I wake up and it's my eyes up and I say thank you. Sometimes I forget, and I know when I do forget to do that. But whatever it is for you, that tone has to be set. And it can't be hopping on Facebook first, hopping on Instagram first, turning on the news first. Why? Because you're filling your head with negative messages. And you have to start off on a positive foot. There's a lot of negativity in the world. We have to flood our brains and our minds with positivity. Because if not, the first thing out is going to be negative. Garbage in, garbage out. And so what did I have to do? Turn off all notifications. So what did I do? I turned off all the sound notifications. But I'm addicted to my phone. And oh, my phone's down there. Usually I have it somewhere by me. But I was constantly pressing, if you have an iPhone, the button. Constantly pressing the button. Habitual, opening it up, going on Facebook at a stop sign. Constant. And what I learned is that every time I pressed that button, I saw the notification, a Voxer notification, a Facebook message. I was still getting distracted. I had to turn off all notifications. I had to turn off everything. I don't get anything. I set timers for things. I know that when I can look at it, I'll look at it. And when it's time for Voxer, my mind is present, which is the next one. I'm present with Voxer. I'm present with Facebook. And I get more done in 20 minutes than in 8 hours. And then when I learned to be present, so a lot of this came about because it was really, my family was kind of falling apart. And I was struggling with like being mad at my kids and then being mad at Juice Plus and then being mad at my kids. And I went back and forth a lot. And I realized that my child, Maddox mostly, needed my full present attention. And when I filled up his love tank, he was such a more well-behaved, right? And so I needed to be present with him, and then I could work. And I could work with a better conscience. And I think if that's one thing I could get you guys to take away, that was the biggest game changer for me, was just be present. And me and Renee talked about this too. She goes, I don't want to miss a second of my kid's life. You're not gonna get to NMD and say, I wish I made it faster once you're there. You might say, I wish I spent more time with my kids. You can't get that back, right? NMD is always going to be there. Your kids aren't always going to be little or middle school or high school, right? I think that we can't ask people to come into this business and put Juice Plus in front of their family. Family's important. And then Eat That Frog, that's a book by Brian Tracy, and it's basically do the hard things first. So if you don't like to call your customers, do that first, get it out of the way. If you don't like to do your DMO, do that before you sit down to watch whatever you watch on Sunday night. Do the hard things first, and I can promise you that the rest of the day is going to go a whole lot faster, a whole lot smoother. It's a weight lifted off your chest, and I actually am going to read something that will describe more about that. So the DMO, this is it, guys. Like, we don't have anything else that we really need to concentrate on. If you're going, okay, this regional was great, it's Sunday night, what do I do? What am I going to do Monday? The DMO. My husband goes, when in doubt, DMO. 2 calls to customers, 2 follow-up calls, 2 calls to team members, 2 calls to team member prospects. That's it. Most people won't answer. 8 calls could take you probably 10 seconds, right? Dialing, smiling and dialing. You're just calling people. And there's no need to get on Facebook before you do the DMO. We have to do this. If you're stuck in your business and you're not doing the DMO, I can promise you that it'll change if you start doing the DMO, okay? And then you cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. I love that by Jim Rohn, because I am not a fast tracker to NMD. I'm not a Casey Schloss. And so I realized that I had a lot to learn, and I had to work a lot on me, and I still am. And I know that I'm constantly veering my course, but I never go backwards. I'm always going forwards because I'm always learning from my mistakes. And what's the one simple change that you can do for your business? You know, you don't have to take all of this, but take one thing and master it. And as a trainer, I hate it when people try to change too many things at once. I think it's a surefire way it's like setting up for failure. Because if you're way down here and you change all these things, it's too much. change one thing. If it's the notifications, do that and master that. Then if it's the DMO, do that. And actually do the DMO first. And then do the rest. Do I have time to read this?
Do you have time
To read this? Okay. Somebody gave this to me at conference a while ago, and it's from the 5 Major Pieces of the Life Puzzle by Jim Rohn. So I'm just going to read it really quick. The things that are, it's called the danger, did I say that? The danger of neglect? Okay. The things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. The primary reason most people are not doing as well as they could and should can be summed up in a single word: neglect. It is not the lack of money. Banks are full of money. It is not the lack of opportunity. America continues to offer the most unprecedented and abundant opportunities of any nation in the last 6,000 years of recorded history. It is not the lack of books. Libraries are full of books, and they are free. It is not the school. The classrooms are full of good teachers. We have plenty of ministers, leaders, counselors, and advisors. Everything we would ever need to become rich and powerful and sophisticated is within our reach. The major reason that so few take advantage of all that we have is simply neglect. Neglect is like an infection. Left unchecked, it will spread throughout our entire system of disciplines and eventually lead to a complete breakdown of a potentially joy-filled and prosperous human life. Not doing the things we know we should do causes us to feel guilty, and guilt leads to an erosion of self-confidence. As our self-confidence diminishes, so does the level of our activity. And as our activity diminishes, our results inevitably decline. And as our results suffer, our attitude begins to weaken. And as our attitude begins the slow shift from positive to negative, our self-confidence diminishes even more. And on it goes. Failure to do the things that we could and should do results in the creation of a negative spiral, which, once started, is difficult to stop. So admittedly, I really did neglect to do the small things in my business for a long time, and I saw the effects on my business. But the good news is that you can change it around, and I do think that we were created for a joy-filled, prosperous life. I think we have an obligation to our family and to our teams to enjoy the journey. And for me, this was one part of my journey that has changed a lot. So I hope that it encourages you guys and helps you too.